What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm BDLM, coming with my buddy J4Y, bringing you episode number 32 of our Dota On Demand podcast. What's going on, man?
Everything for Sparta. Oh, that's 300. Okay, we're a little bit off from that.
It's a little...
But,
yeah, we are. 10%.
A little bit. 10%.
Getting there.
It's a good number, you know. I mean, honestly. In decimals, you might say 0.10 out of a full 100, or 1.0. I'm going to stop the math part of this segment and let you take it away. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited. It's been a long week, man.
Feels
because
like an eternity.
Yeah, I mean, so what? It's been 10 days since our last one. I'll be honest. 2 or 3 days ago, I was just sitting in my room by myself, like just playing video games, something. I just like looked down and I was just
okay.
I did the intro. I just like ran with it, and then I got really sad because we weren't doing an episode. But we made it around to our Tuesday, back on the regular schedule forever, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So yeah, doing pretty good. And we have an awesome patch to talk about. Rubick, the tournament stuff that happened, the tournament patch, and then, of course, Dreamhack Summer, which was awesome. Hope you guys got to catch those games, so I'm really excited to talk about all this stuff this week.
Yeah, dude, there was so much that's been going on, and like you said, it's kind of unfortunate that we've had this little hiatus, but, you know, it's like a fine wine, you know, as it ages and takes longer to be released into the world, it really just becomes this fine delicacy that you just get to enjoy and just over a long period of time, because this is probably going to be a longer than, well, okay, our last one was, what, 3 segments of like 20, 30 minutes, and we're doing our normal thing this week, so it's going to be a little longer of an episode than the last couple, but, you know. Yeah,
if you like that setup and you didn't say anything, shame on you. So
right.
Nobody really seemed to particularly mind one way or the other, so boom, here you have it. I think, what do you want to do? You want to start this off? Let's talk about the awesome, spoiler alerts, MTW victory at DreamHack.
Oh, yeah, man. So this is second year in a row that they have pulled off this kind of victory. Last DreamHack as well as this one. So, of course, last time they were known as the Awesome Wild Honey Badgers. You know, whenever you have an animal associated with your name, you automatically gain like plus 100 strength. I don't even know why that's an attribute bonus, but you just do. But now that they've become a TW, they've had a lot more challenge because they do not have an animal associated with their name. But nonetheless, they pulled it off. None of the guests. Could you have guessed who they played in the championship? I think anyone that's not even watched it could have probably thrown the name in the hat.
Yeah, Natus Vincere. Who'da thunk, right?
Right.
Good at a LAN tournament, made it to the finals. I think they were saying that they didn't actually lose a single game until they came into that best of 3 in the finals. Did go 2-1 in MTW's favor, but man, every single one of those games were great. My only complaint, didn't get to see Kabop run the Earthshaker. Ooh. But, you know, everybody did play really well in those games, too. It was really nice to see.
Yeah, and I mean, the picks were pretty much conventional, but what we really gathered from that tournament is that they like to run socks on Tinker in the short lane. I think that's what I've gathered most from recent tournaments with DreamHack as well as the qualifier, that they think that's a pretty viable strat, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, using that and the Lone Druid, too, seem to be fairly core concepts for what they like to run, and I mean, they make it work really well, both of them. I've been playing a lot of Tinker myself lately, trying to practice up on him, because he is just such a strong hero, especially once you start getting like the Yule Scepter and the Sheep Stick, and you can just chain CC people.
Which takes a bajillion mana, but...
It does. It does.
You know what I'm surprised is that you don't see Bloodstones more often on him. I mean, I guess not 100% because of the Boots of Travel. Like, that's what they... Instead of having regeneration, they rather just go all out, get their mana at base, and come back. But, yeah, I mean, I think Bloodstone could be just a different path. Like, instead of... It's just crazy talk here. But instead of, like, going something like that, just rushing for a Bloodstone, then getting those other items, and you could, just in the fight... Because he gets a lot of kills, or he's a lot of assists. He's in the fights all the time. So you'll get the charges of that pretty easily. And then, like, since he farms so well with all of the roaming around and marching machines and what have you, I don't know, I think it could be pretty viable.
Yeah, I actually am playing him a couple times today. I've typically been going for the Soul Ring or the Bottle, then you go into the bots, and then going for the Sheep Stick. But I'm actually kind of leaning towards the Yule Scepter a little bit more, is going for the first item, just because you get some of that mana regeneration and some in smaller chunks. You get them quicker, so you can actually stay a little bit, because it's hard to just run in, be able to TP into a lane, and then March of Machines, rearm, March of Machines, then TP back. Like, you don't quite have enough mana to do that right at the point where you get the bots, so I think getting the smaller item that's still going to give you some good crowd control, strong decision.
Yeah, I mean, Soul Ring, no doubt in my mind, is actually kind of, I think, a staple. I mean, the bottle, okay, maybe you can replace it with the bottle, but I just love, since, of course, all his items get reset cooldown as well when he uses his ultimate, so that includes the Soul Ring. So he can spam his spells and then use that ultimate, and he gets it back for more mana. Bottle, on the other hand, you don't get charges when you use your ultimate. So, I mean, that's the only difference I can see. But you do go back and forth so much from base that it does fill up, so it's still a very useful item on him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I almost do like the Soul Ring a little bit more than the bottle, but I guess it depends on what you're playing. Obviously, I think my last game today, I played the safe lane solo. So I went for the Soul Ring, obviously, in that situation, and just I love having just that little bit of health and mana regeneration as well. Just awesome to have on him.
Yeah, passive. I mean, anyone in the lane, honestly, can take full advantage of that. So I am with you.
I think just the crazy thing about seeing MTW and Na'Vi in those finals is that potentially what we could see coming up in the International 2. And I would love to be there live, seeing a repeat of those awesome 3 games we had. And, I think this might actually be the first time we've had a chance to talk about it, since we did acquire our tickets to the National 2, but we're going to the International 2.
We're going!
Oh, so excited. And I'll never have money again.
We just have to describe the stressful process that was for me. Not even close for you. So the first day, this guy, actually I have to point this way. This guy, it's really hard to aim, apparently, on camera. So, yeah, he's, a smart cookie that he is. Day 1 when the tickets were released, he was right there hitting that refresh button, ready to go. I was at work. I do have a job during the day. Not everyone does, but what can you do? And, I decided to leave my desk to talk to my boss for a couple minutes. I get back 10 minutes after 12, which is when they released at 12. I get a text from Matt saying, "Got my ticket." I'm like, okay. I look on the site. We're already sold out. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. And so for the next couple of days, I sit at my work computer at 12, looking over my shoulder, making sure no one's, like, sneaking up on my cubicle, like, what's that guy got open over there? Because I got the Steam store open, so it's pretty obvious I'm not doing work-related things.
Research?
I'm researching how to draw cartoons for our next logo.
Yes.
Why is there a red guy holding an axe? You'll understand later. It's about health insurance. It's just don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and so finally though, I got my one friend, kind of a ringer, if you will. I got him since he's at home during the day. I'm like, hey, can you kind of do this for me? And sure enough, he got me a ticket within like the first 30 seconds of it on the 3rd day, and I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But I tell you, I was like, you can ask him. I was just stressed out. I'm like, I'm not gonna get a ticket. What if I don't get a ticket? I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm like, ugh. But we got him. At the end of the day.
I was excited enough to actually get my ticket, but then I got a full Witch Doctor set, and that was just oh yeah, beautiful.
Well,
loved it. It's like Christmas, except I had to pay for it.
It's Christmas that you pay for.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
It's like buying yourself a gift. It's like, thanks, Santa.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, spoiler. Santa doesn't exist. Whoa.
Whoa.
Should have disclaimed that one. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Did I just say that on live television?
He's kidding.
Oh my gosh, I'm joking.
It wasn't on television, but I
actually feel pretty bad about that.
Well, it's
but
okay.
You can't take it back.
You.
That's the beauty of doing things live, isn't it?
It is. It is. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, we have that awesome tournament patch, which is really cool. I like it a lot because it's just showing automatically, just right here, that Valve is going to definitely be trying to keep up with the competitive scene, be able to make things for the game that are going to make the game more competitive, make it stable for competition. And they actually mentioned in their blog that they're going to have team matchmaking, which is awesome because now that gives kind of the mid to high level players the chance to team up and get to play against people their skill level and really get to practice as a group, which I think is just huge, especially you and I playing with our friends. It's just so much different and so much better really to be able to try and come up with strategies to play the game and to learn how to support one another better, how to move around the map, and stuff like that.
Yeah, like right now, the closest thing you get, of course, is queuing up as just queue up as 5, and you play hopefully other groups of 5. But obviously, there's no recording of stats. There's no this or that. There's no real show of unity there. So yeah, this is going to bring in that level of, and it's in other games. You'll see it in Han. League of Legends also has teams. Like every other of these games have these team things that you can create, and I think this is just the perfect way that they're implementing it. Because I not only just say the team matchmaking, so you get the stats. You get stats. I actually don't really know besides that. I guess you get to make sure you play against people more your level, kind of like the solo queue matchmaking. It puts you in like a tier of your skill as a combined group or whatnot. But yeah, also, I guess I'll go into the other features. Well, now there's going to be logos around the map. So for each team, if you get to upload these pictures of like your banner, or I don't remember what it's called specifically, but basically it's a picture, and in your fountain, on banners outside the tier 3 towers, and there's a bunch of places. It's like all around the map.
Flags.
You get flags and like squares on the ground of your picture, whatever it is. Hopefully it's not offensive, but they'll probably have some of that reviews like, hey, wait a second. But
yeah, there's some areas of the map where it looks a little funny and like there's just too many of them in an area. And I've actually, some of the games I've watched recently, the people have like black and white like photos for their logo. It's really strange to see it up against the slightly cartoonish rendering of everything else.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a little weird, but I don't really know how you could fix that. I guess I'll just have to learn to live with it, like many things. But definitely neat to be able to actually have, instead of just, whoever's shoutcasting the game, to have a little banner across the top saying this team and this team. You actually have visible things inside the game to align yourself with your half the map. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of started this way back, actually, in the first International when they were showing the game. The fact that there's a place in custom games to enter the team name at the top, so when you're doing the draft and everything, the team name shows and on the scoreboard. Like, that was just like the beginning. But even then, that just showed like they knew they wanted this to be a competitive game. They knew they wanted to start from the beginning implementing competitive features that made people want to group up as a team, play these games, start up tournaments, these kind of things. So it's just, obviously, it's been now, this huge patch has made that even more developed. And speaking of that, the third part of it, do you want to bring in what they've done with the store, I should say, what they've implemented with the store?
Oh yeah, you can buy tickets, sort of your own little stadium seat to competitions that are going on, some of the bigger ones. You can pay, I think it's like $5 actually for the defense tournament, which is going on right now, so that you can actually spectate inside the games. And then of course you can also switch your audio channel so that you can listen to the person commentating it if you like. Or you can also set your camera so that you can literally just watch how the commentator is moving the camera around. Yeah. So I think that's actually really cool, and if you think about it, it's a really nice way to avoid missing any kills, because you can just set your camera on the directed view if you want to, and then just put your audio onto whatever channel the commentator's going on, so you get to listen to everything, but you also are going to be able to see every single kill that happens.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's been times, I think we've all been sitting around watching a stream, and like we're like, I really wish he'd show the gold graph, or I want to see I want to see what items this hero has or something. But you're so limited to what he's looking at that time, because obviously he controls the camera, he controls all of that. But now, if you want to pay this little extra money, you have full, absolute control. You don't have to listen to them. You can if you want. Obviously you look around the map at your own leisure. Like you said, I love how they've implemented the fact that you can follow their camera as well. Like the fact that how much thought they've put into this is really beyond what I would have expected someone to do. Like, from the core, like I said, they knew what they wanted to do. They had a vision, and they've really stepped it up, I think. I've heard some problems, like people keep saying, like, maybe there's, like, lag through the voice thing, like, some of the action he calls is, like, 15 seconds delayed or something, but obviously these are just things that are going to get tinkered out. It's just going to be fixing bugs, kind of like that, but just a wonderful idea. Oh, and also, if you pay that, you also gain access to all the replays of the tournament, so you can do what you will with those.
Yeah, definitely really cool. I mean, I love they mentioned this is like the first of many patches they're going to be implementing to try and increase the ability to really participate in these sort of competitive events, and man, I'm just way excited for their future patches as well.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, the other cool thing, Rubick, I think, which neither of us were really expecting to see come up quickly, joined the game, which is really cool. You know, we never actually we had a while ago, we talked about some of the art for, was it Meepo and Phantom Lancer and some of the other heroes that are getting developed, and Rubick actually, just in talking about his art, I think is really cool, especially when you consider that he was coming from the Prophet character model from War 3, and he's this crazy, twitchy green and black and white dude who I just think looks awesome. I think they did a really good job with that.
He's almost a little too twitchy. He's like, if you watch Dave Chappelle and when he does the impression of the guy that's addicted to cocaine, he talks about crack all the time. Right. The guy scratching his neck the whole episode. That's what I kind of envision with them. It's just like, what's over here? Oh gosh, what's this? That's the sun? No,
Like
no.
Tweak from South Park.
Tweak. That's probably a better representation. Either way, so a mixture of a crack addict and Tweak.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a
There you
fair
go.
way to evaluate his twitchiness.
For better or worse, right? Yeah. Good way to go.
But he is a cool looking guy. He really does look cool. I like I said, if he just maybe toned down the tweakiness just a little tiny bit, but you know, I could deal with it.
We forgot the single most important part of the patch, and that is Guardian Wisp now has working art. Sorry, I just got to throw that one in there.
I'm so
I
glad we remembered that.
Sorry. Okay, I'm done. No, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, Rubick, really cool int hero. Really going to be curious to see how he impacts the game, because I definitely think he's a hero that's going to show up. Do you want to start running through the abilities, my friend?
I do. Based on your awesome descriptions, it should be pretty simple, I think. Let's start with telekinesis, who, by the way, I have to call you out. You spelled it wrong.
All right. Thank you.
No, I had to call you out
Art
because
major.
how many times have you called me out on spellings that, you know, it's only fair after I correct them to just say.
Okay. Oh.
But, you know, to give you that's like an SAT word. So I think by 5th grade, maybe you'll start to learn how to spell those kind of big words, like mountain, telekinesis. It's all the same thing.
Because, oh my god.
Oh, that one, forget it. That doesn't even
Yeah.
make sense, really.
It does.
Logically. But besides that, because telekinesis, that's actually called telekinesis, not because, it's a stun AoE stun on landing. Alright, let me describe that a little better. So basically, you're going to use your telekinesis, your psychic abilities, to lift someone off the ground, and they're going to hover there for a duration. It goes from 1.5 to 2.25 seconds. And then they lift there for that duration, and then actually you can cast the spell again. So you press Q if that's what you have it bound to, again in a different in a direction, and they will go after that. After they lift off the ground, they'll land wherever you tell them to, basically. So wherever you click on the ground, a certain radius. It's a 325 radius. So you can't click like back to your fountain and then just fly across the map there. That's not quite going to happen. But yeah, they go basically in a direction about 300 yards if you want to shift them. And when they land, it does, like you said, an AoE stun. So there's no actual damage that comes out from this move. It's all about CC, so it's about lifting them up, which they can't cast or attack in. And then when they land, they stun all their allies, not themselves. So, you know, that's a big thing to note as well.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about Chaos Knight last week, you know, I mentioned that one of the cool things about Reality Rift is there's so few abilities in the game that physically move heroes around, and this is another one. It's just so good for ganking, just to be able to pick somebody up and take them out, and then be able to throw them away from the direction they're going to run. You were mentioning, when we were talking before the show, actually, that you can use it to throw people onto areas like cliffs and things to be able to get people out of a fight. You can throw them over fissures, things like this. And you know, it's definitely going to be the competitive players that are going to be able to actually take full advantage of this and be able to throw people around and really be able to take them out of the fight longer than the 4 seconds that the lift and stun are going to wind up doing.
Exactly. So, it's yeah, like you said, it's total 4-second duration. Well, okay, it's not 4 seconds.
It's 2.25 on the main target and then 1.75
So it's a
on the
4-second
base.
combined CC,
Yes.
which sounds a lot better when you say it like that. That's like, oh, my major GPA is 3.0. Some of us have done that. But, you know, either way, you gotta tell the complete truth. But, yeah, it's an 18-second cooldown, though, which is really long for a CC. And we'll kind of get into why the different ways you can play them. But let's just say if you're trying to use them as a support, and that's going to be the only way you CC someone, that can be obviously very troublesome because that's like about 3 times the cooldown of a lot of supports' abilities to CC, so you have to think of it that way. But still, it's just so unique, like you said. It has so many different possibilities. And the fact that it can be an AoE stun on 4 heroes if you land it properly, I mean, that's a huge amount of time and a lot of greatness there. So you want to throw us into move numero dos?
I will, after I mention that. I think the other cool thing about this ability is as you level it up, the range increases, and it has a static mana cost. So even at the beginning of the game, Rubick has, 351 mana. So it's actually not too bad when you start looking at the rest of his abilities. He really only has one other he's going to be using in the major part of the game, the Fade Bolt, the second ability that I'm going to get into. And so you can actually cast both those abilities and still have some wiggle room for mana. So the fact that these are static mana costs too means as the game gets longer, you're going to be able to cast them easier as you start to level up, get more in, yada yada yada.
Also, when you land someone, it destroys trees. I don't know why that's the most important thing in the world, but
you know,
I'm just throwing it out there. It has potential to do such a thing. So
yeah, one shot's Tree and Protector. Little known fact. He just straight over. Not true, but it would be funny.
When a Tree and Protector falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Strong question. Not when there's a silencer on the map.
Wow. Beautiful
snap,
answer.
Snap.
I like it.
I like it. Fade Bolt is W. 800 range. Bounces between targets. Basically a nuke spell that will also decrease attack damage. Starting at 14, ending up at 32 at rank 4. This is halved against creeps. So actually really cool ability. The damage starts 75, goes up to 300. The damage gets reduced as it bounces around. By the way, an awesome ability. I think this is just crazy good. Just the amount of damage that it does is phenomenal. And then it's also some insurance against enemy carries. Being able to reduce damage by 32. Is it a ton? No, but a pretty good amount.
Well, I think it's important to note. You noted that it did reduce damage as it bounces, but it's only 4%. Because the things vary on how much they reduce. So 4% of 300 is about 12 damage or so. So, don't worry. I did the math before I even thought about this response. So 12 damage is really not a big deal when it's bouncing around. That's still going to do pretty much the full brunt of it. And like you said, it's just a really nice thing. The cooldown gets lowered as you level it up, making it very enticing to max out first of his moves, I would say. Because, of course, that huge damage increase, like you said, 75 a level, is pretty substantial. 10-second duration on that damage reduction. It does so many things. Is why it's so cool. It does the damage. It does, well, I guess just the other thing, too. It does the damage and it does the damage reduction, but it's a bouncing damage.
So many two things. It's
many.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I have yet to see something that does two things that well.
Yeah, so many two things. I mean,
besides Alchemist
ridiculous.
Stun, who can either stun an enemy or himself. Those are maybe a better two things. I haven't figured it out yet, but
we'll see.
Anyways, yeah, I do really like it. I think it's, like you said, I think this is the one you generally will max out first most of the time just because of all the things it adds. And just to note, when you said it's halved attack damage decrease for creeps, so at the last rank, that's 16 damage reduction for creeps. Creeps hit for about 25 to 28 damage. So that's over half the damage they're doing is automatically taken away for 10 seconds. So if you're like afraid of pushes or you're trying to, turtle up or whatever, you cast that, even if it doesn't kill the creeps, which it will do a lot of damage, they're still only going to do half the damage of what they normally do. So it's really good for pushing or, I guess, turtling either way.
Yeah. Or, defending. The next ability, I'll let you describe Spell Steal, if that's cool. Because I know you sir, are a Rubick fan.
I am indeed.
And then Null Field is so boring. I mean, I'm just going to get it out of the way. 900 radius, bonus magic resistance, 5 to 20%. Does stack with other magic resist spells and items. So we're talking anti-mages, natural magic resist, as well as the cloak and the pipe of insight resistance.
The defiance, the cloak, all of that goodness.
Oh, so much magic resist. So much.
And that's pretty much all it does. But, at the end of the day, it's still, like you said, it's not thrilling. It's not an exciting move or anything. It'd be cool if, it gave, this kind of, blue sheen around the radius, just to be like, everyone in this is safe. Like a mini chronosphere all around you. That'd be pretty awesome. Of course, not very practical. but that's
Well.
besides the point. And obviously the thing with this, though, it's so kind of painful to level up because each one's only 5%, so you really don't feel like you're doing a lot by putting points in it, but when it does get to that 4th rank, it is noticeable compared to not having it at all, obviously. 20%, and that's for your whole team, like you said. Well, everyone in that radius around you, that 900, which is a big radius as well. So,
yeah.
definitely worth the points as well. Now, in most cases, because obviously not every game's the same, would you think you would level this over telekinesis as your second priority?
I think I would. I mean, like you said, obviously it's situational, but that is just so good, especially if you have any plans on like pushing early or trying to stick together a lot, trying to roam around with another person. I think it's definitely something you'd want to invest points into, really. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's not the most fun ability, but it is amazing, I think. And it means, I mean, this and the Fade Bolt, if you're going to be somebody who tries to play the Rubick, you have to make sure you are at every team fight. This, you see from time to time people will carry 2, even 3 scrolls of teleportation on them just to make sure that they have one at all times. Could totally see doing that on the Rubick just to make sure that no matter what, you can get to a tower and try and get hooked up with your team for a team fight.
I just got a tweet little comment thing that said, I know, right? That said, is there going to be a Rubick cube skin?
Someone start working on that immediately. Just a staff with a cube on the end.
That's
I'll
simple.
take it.
The weapon. You don't even have to do the whole skin.
Oh, hop on it, people.
How genius.
Come on.
And how simple.
I'm still waiting for Crystal Maiden stuff. I'll wait to get a Rubick cube. That would be fantastic. I would absolutely wait.
Yeah, so anyways, great. That's a little off track. But yeah, no field, so, I mean, worth leveling. I think I agree as well. I would definitely prioritize that second in pretty much every single case. Telekinesis, when you level it up, the cooldown stays the same, the mana cost stays the same. All you're gaining is a little bit of range, just not much. It's like 25 per level. And then that lift duration, stun duration each goes up 0.25 seconds. So, I mean, that's helpful, but at the same time, it's kind of like leveling Dragon Tail almost in the same way. It's like, I get a quarter second more of the CC. Is that really worth it over magic resistance for my aura for my team? Exactly. And when you kind of say it like that, it's like, okay, it looks a little more obvious to me. But, I don't know. Like I said, it's all about what you want to do. If you're a super gank team, and all you care about is CCing the enemy and doing damage, then maybe you won't go null field.
There you go. Yeah, get on this ulti, man.
Let's get to the whole point of this hero. Let's get to the bread and butter of this guy.
Oh.
It's a spell called Spell Steal, so don't confuse yourself with that tongue twister.
So what do? Give the enemy a spell?
Not
Please
quite.
explain.
You actually steal it from them. Genius,
Crazy.
right? So anyways, what this essentially does, well, it starts at a 20-second cooldown, goes down to 16 seconds. It's a 25 mana static cost, so next to nothing the whole game, which for an int hero, as you know, is especially nothing. Yeah, so really, really short cooldown, low mana cost, 1,000 range, so longer than any of his other moves. And what this does is steal a spell, believe it or not. Now, how this kind of works is it can be a little confusing, and this is kind of what makes the hero somewhat challenging to play, is that you cast it on an enemy hero. It has to be an enemy. And the last spell they casted. Cast.
They had cast.
They had cast. Why am I having trouble with grammar right now?
It's okay.
Is the spell... Look at your face. Shut up. The last spell they cast is the one you steal. So, here's a really simple example. Let's say Zeus throws off a lightning bolt, and then you spell steal Zeus. You now have his lightning bolt in your bar to cast, and it's going to be bound to D. Well, for me, it's whatever that fourth move is along the way. So, and it also depends on what the hero has ranked it. So if it's level 3 Thunderbolt that he has, you steal level 3 Thunderbolt. It doesn't matter if he dings right after and it's level 4 now. You have level 3 Lightning Bolt for that duration. How this works is you hold on to that spell for 3, 4, or 5 minutes, depending on your rank, or until you die, or until you spell steal again. So if your 20-second cooldown's off and you want a different spell, you spell steal another one, that replaces that spell, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy strong part about it, I think, too. Not only do you get to steal an enemy spell, but at the rank 3 it's a 16-second cooldown. So definitely possible to use multiple times in a team fight situation. And I mean, obviously, the number of ultimates you can steal, mind-boggling. Like just the game-changing ultimates, the black hole, even like epicenter, just these huge AoE abilities. But then also the smaller abilities, which are still amazing, like the stun from Vengeful Spirit. Even the Wave of Terror for Vengeful Spirit, I think, is awesome because it's so cheap. You can use it to get the vision as well as the armor reduction. So, like, if you're happening to go for somebody like a Roshan, you can use that ability really nicely. I mean, there's seemingly limitless possibilities with this ultimate.
Yeah, it's just important to note that it cannot steal passives or auto cast abilities, things like that. Now, the funny thing is about the auto cast abilities, if they manually cast, let's say a flaming spear from Huskar, if he presses his bind and casts it on a target, that counts as casting the spell. At least it has up to this point. Now I could be wrong here because I haven't tested this since all these like bug fixes and changes. Because originally when he was released, you could steal allies' ultimates and stuff.
Nice.
And that was obviously not working as intended, because that would just be plain stupid. It's like, we're going to pick Enigma and Rubick every game, and good luck, other team. No. But, yeah, I mean, like, where was I going with that? Oh, so basically you can steal a spell that's auto-casted if they manually cast it once, but it's not very likely. But this is kind of what makes him so challenging, is the timing. It's all about the timing of when you use this on a hero. It is instant right when you cast it, so as soon as you cast it, you're in the 1,000 range, cast it, whatever spell at that second he had casted last is what you get. There's no, like, in-between time or whatever. But it's just so difficult, it can be really difficult to get the one you want, especially since heroes have so many. Just off the top of my head example, Tidehunter. You obviously want Ravage. You want his ultimate because it does a ton of damage, huge AoE stun. What's not bad about it, or good about it? However, most of the time you'll get hit by it because he'll position himself well enough that he'll cast it, and by the time you get unstunned, he's probably casted Anchor Smash or Gush by then, and then you can't stun it. So you have to position yourself exceptionally well, I think, to really benefit from spell steal.
Yeah, there's also some kind of travel time with, like, when you hit your R on the hero, you don't immediately get the spell. There is some time you have to wait before it becomes available to you. And also, if the person you steal it from has an Aghanim Scepter boosting their ultimate, you get those boosts as well. But, I mean, the crazy thing that you kind of went over there really quick is that the fact that it has a 1,000 range. True. So you can safely steal somebody else's spell without really having too much of a problem with getting, like, initiated on yourself, unless they have something like, you know, a blink tag or something. They're going to be able to jump right on top of you. You can sort of poke your head in there, grab a spell, and then run back to your team and have something ready to go as soon as the fight begins. And that way you can cast a spell right away, and then you can spell steal something else and have, you know, 2 new spells right at the beginning of the fight.
I have played him a bunch of times now, I would say, and, you know, I'm really disappointed I haven't gotten blink from a hero yet. That's one of the ones I've really wanted. You just get so many choices, and, like, I guess probably because they probably blink away from you, so it's harder to cast it on them. But
perhaps,
I mean, there's just so many fun spells too that you wouldn't even think about that are really cool spell steal. Oh, big example of that, Bat Rider's Firefly. They actually designed a specific animation for that just for Rubick. So when he spell steals Firefly, he actually hops on his staff like a broom and leaves the fire trail behind him. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah. It's really neat.
I think they're going to plan on doing that for multiple spells, too.
That would be pretty neat. It's nice seeing those just like little things that they tack on the end of these things. These little, you know, I guess the details that really make that kind of stuff cool. But, you know, I think I made this nice little slide with thanks to Dota Talk. We haven't actually mentioned recently, but, you know, a great site. I love using it. And this especially is really nice because I got to look back. They have a replay parser, and you can actually sort of see the picks and bans from competitive games in Dota 1. And so I was like, you know what, let's go back and see when Rubick was taken advantage of, or when he was banned out, because in the Southeast...
Yeah. That poor guy, that's why he's so twitchy all the time.
Yeah, he's just like... Anyway.
Are you there? Who's there?
So in the Southeast Asian scene, there's actually a lot of picking and banning of the Rubick. And here's just one example of when he actually got picked up really early in the pick and the ban stage. Team Giggles versus Deparuku. he was actually picked up directly after the Earthshaker, and that's obvious, I think, because Fissure is just such an amazing spell. If someone gets caught out of position, they get separated from the rest of their team, you just steal the Fissure yourself, and then you block the rest of the team off from your ally, give him some time to get out, and of course, Echo Slam. If you have the opportunity to grab something like that. I mean, the unfortunate thing is some of these abilities are going to put you in harm's way, and you might die immediately after walking in the middle of everybody and Echo Slamming, or, you know, stealing the Vengeful Spirit swap, and then putting yourself in the middle of the enemy team. But being able to grab those abilities is huge. And in other situations, he was banned when that team was also looking to pick Lich, Windrunner, Beastmaster, because they didn't want those spells to get stolen. I actually, myself, I played one game with them, and stealing Windrunner Shackle Shot is just hysterical, especially if they miss with it, and then you latch them to something, because, you know, it's just fantastic. And actually, when you think about Beastmaster, just the amount of vision you could get from him casting the Hawk and the Boar, the ultimate, obviously, the composite damage from Wild Axes, and then you think about Lich, I mean, obviously, the ultimate is what you're going to want to try and get. But if you're laning against a Lich and you're supporting, if you can get Sacrifice, you can help take away from the enemy carry if it's still in that phase of the game when you hit level 6.
I was going to say, when you hit level 6, it kind of starts breaking off from the laning phase. I mean, yeah, a little bit, but that is the thing. It is level 6, so by that time, but still, Chain Frost, I mean, no brainer how amazing that will be throughout the whole game. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense why they would not want to go up against him when they're going with these kind of pickups. I would add probably Enigma to that Lich if they're looking to pick up Enigma. You don't want a black hole against you. That's not going to work out too well. So even Malefice, like, all these heroes still have really other good spells too that could be stolen just as easily. But it's funny you were mentioning about like how these are good spells for the heroes they play them on, but when you use it on Rubick, who's supposed to be this really far back range because he's got really far range on his spells, and then you get a move. For example, when I was playing him, we were against the Sand King, and I got Burrow Strike, and let's just say I used it well, but it definitely puts you right in the middle of danger, and when you don't have Sandstorm to back that up like Sand King does, you're in a heap of trouble for the most part. So it's like a double-edged sword in that regard. Like, it can be really good, but sometimes it kind of screws you over depending on how that goes. But you know, at the same time, I could have gotten his ultimate, and then if I could have positioned myself well enough with a Force Staff, then you know, perhaps that would have been the way to go.
So yeah, okay, so you like Force Staff on him, eh?
I do. Yeah, speaking of items, you know, there's a few that I think are really important, and also, of course, it'll depend more on if you're going to play him as a carry, like solo mid, or if you're going to play him in the support role. So, do we want to just start with one of those roles? Let's just say mid.
No, we might as well. Yeah, I mean, you've been playing him a pretty decent amount lately. You've definitely played him more than I have. So yeah, man, go for it.
I definitely, and I played him more in the mid. I've actually only played him support once, and we'll get into that later, and how that's probably never going to happen again. But I went mid, you know, for a while, and you know, I think he's got really great laning presence. In the sense that Fade Bolt is really nice for harassment. Now, it is mana intensive, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's such a far range, and he's got a really far auto attack range as well, sitting at 600, that it's really easy for him to stay up on that cliff, you know, stay out of kind of harm's way, and still get a lot of good last hits. You know, you run that, I like to go like that bottle, you know, generally is a thing, and then I personally prefer to go for really quick Bloodstone on him, which should seem pretty obvious to most people. But what I'll start off with doing is get the boots into Arcane Boots. That way you have a ton of mana to work with. You can restore mana for your team as well as yourself. And then eventually you can use that energy booster from the Arcane Boots. You can disassemble that item, use that towards your Bloodstone. So that way you get it even that much quicker. So it's not like you wasted any money. You know, you bought it and you're still using it for your ultimate purpose. So it's still like a really great idea overall. I don't know. I think Bloodstone, though. Do you agree with that item choice on this hero?
Yeah, I mean, it's an expensive one to get, but I definitely think it's a strong item to have. I mean, just the passive stats you get from it I think are fantastic, and especially like when you were talking about Burrow Strike and stuff, you might actually be putting yourself into harm's way, so getting just the extra health from the Vit booster and the point booster I think is really nice to have. And of course the regeneration from your perseverance.
Yeah, and I mean the other items, of course, Force Staff. Like I said, I think I like getting on just most in heroes. It doesn't really matter. I don't. That's not a necessary thing. That might be more dependent on who's in the game and whatnot. I think Yules is another fantastic item, and that one I think I would get if I didn't get Bloodstone. I think that's kind of a pick or choose for me because obviously Yules, you get a whole ton of mana regen. It's like 225% or something. It's just absurd how much mana regen you get.
The other thing about that item too is just the movement speed you get, and especially when you're talking about playing him middle, he is such a good ganker because, like we said earlier, when we're talking about telekinesis, you can throw him away from the direction he's going to want to run. And of course, you have your Fade Bolt, which is just a high damage nuke, and then anything you steal from the lane you're ganking, just having an extra movement speed, so it's not as costly for you to move between lanes. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I like it. Like you say, it keeps you out of harm's way, which is so important. Like you were saying, I mean, he finds easy ways to get himself in trouble because of all the moves he's stealing. I mean, a lot of them are close to melee range. That are the really effective ones you're trying to steal. So you have to be cautious of that. And like that's a great way to, at least for a few seconds, stay out of the fight. Or you can use it offensively on an enemy if they're going to do something like a really big auto attacker or who knows what. It's got definitely a good amount of uses as well. So another great but I think mana regeneration is really important on this hero to sustain in the fight. Similar to Invoker, I think, in that kind of regard, how he gets a lot of casts off in a fight. Not as much as Invoker, mind you, because obviously he has lower cooldowns later in the game, a lot lower cooldowns. But still, at the end of the day, your spell steals whatever, it's a really low cooldown, 16 seconds. And then, depending on what spell you stole, you could have a low cooldown, high mana cost spell like Lightning Bolt. You could have Lightning Bolt, and that's a 5-second cast or whatever, cooldown. And, so you gotta be prepared to spam a lot of spells throughout a fight. That's kind of your purpose.
Yeah, I think Urn is actually an item that is, I want to say, almost mandatory on him. I just really like it, especially because, like I was saying earlier, he's a hero that you're going to want to be in all the team fights if you can help it. Being able to pick that up to have the constant regeneration for your team, I think it's just amazing. And of course, it gives you some health, gives you some mana regen, and just because of how cheap an item it is, I definitely think a pickup that I'd want to get 9 times out of 10.
Another tweeter. This is a question.
Oh, man.
Rod of Atos, good pickup?
I mean, I like it. The thing is, that's for some reason an item that competitively doesn't get a whole lot of love. But I think for the same reasons that we're saying for like the Bloodstone, I think it's a great pickup. And like I'm saying too with the ganking, you're now throwing them away with telekinesis, and then you're able to just slow them down too. So there's really no getting out of those situations.
Yeah.
So, and then I like just the Vit booster as well. I mean, it's just. That's a solid item that we don't see too often, and I think Rubick is definitely a hero that can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think it's a decent item all around, honestly. All these items that you would think to build on normally on an in-hero, I mean, since his spell casting abilities is so diverse, because he can steal whatever he wants almost, all these items can really just be effective on him. You can imagine having a Sheaf Stick, of course, having a Rabbit, like having that slow, having a Yule Force Staff. All these will work really well in conjunction with depending on what you want to steal. So, yeah, I think that's definitely not a bad way to go. And like you said, or we've said time and time again, he definitely wants to work on having survivability, and with Rob Atos, you do gain that kind of portion of that. So, yeah, not a bad idea.
I think, speaking from the sports standpoint, I'd probably really like drums on him. I think that would be a fantastic pickup. My LOL pickup would be Veil of Discord, because then you could Veil people and Fade Bolt them, and I think that'd be hilarious. Don't do it, but I think it'd be funny. Necronomicon might actually not be a bad idea, though, because you can get some int, some strength, and then you have some pushing power, because like we were saying earlier with the Fade Bolt, it does a lot of damage, and the reduction really isn't that high. You can take out creep waves really quickly, and if you're trying to push a tower, heroes might be close to that tower. You might be able to get those chains to go around through all the creeps and then hit some enemy heroes as well to be able to harass them back, push them back so that you can stay on the tower.
I do like Necronom actually, but that's not really a support item. That's more of a farming hero. I mean, I'm not saying it's not viable as a support. I'm saying it's not super easy to farm as a support. Well, especially depending on how the game's going. If you guys are pushing towers like a good pushing team, and you're getting that early gold from the tower kills, then that seems more reasonable. But if your team's kind of a stalemate and not pushing so well, and you're not getting farm, obviously, then you might have a little trouble building an item like that compared to like something like drums or arcane boots. I think as a support, arcane boots are a necessary thing because you're not going to have the mana regen from like a bloodstone or a scythe or something. So you're kind of more going to look to support your team, and arcane boots is an easy way for him to do that. And on top of that, he's helping himself with his bigger mana pool and the mana restoration. I also like Yule's support on him as well. I think that's a cheap item that is not super hard to get. That also, as we described the other ones, really effective too.
It kind of in the vein of like Enigma, and we've seen Obsidian Destroyer suit as well. Regardless of if you're playing in mid or in the as a side lane support, get the mech, and that'll actually give you some survivability, and that frees up some gold for your supports as well. We've seen Enigmas get it just so that they have some sort of sustain, so that when they're running into harm's way to try and lay down the ultimate, they can mech themselves in order to try and stay alive as long as possible. And like Obsidian Destroyers have also done it from time to time as well when we see them in competitive play. So I think that's also kind of an item that you could say is more support-oriented, but could definitely be a pickup if you're looking to play in mid as well.
Yeah, and like you said, that item is so crucial for doing early pushes on teams or, sustaining on even defense. It's just such a great team fight item either way. And like if you're getting that farm, like you said, it's a non-expensive item. So it's pretty easy to build over time, especially. And once you get that up and running, you tell your team, hey, let's go take a tower. I just got my mech. If someone has a pair of arcane boots on top of that, you should really have little trouble, depending on, I guess, unless you're up against like Enigma, Lich, Sand King, then maybe you'll have little issues. But aside from that, I think it's definitely a good choice there. I mean, like I said, I really am having trouble thinking of any of these normal items that wouldn't work well on him, honestly.
That's true. Yeah, but I do think now we're starting to talk about some of these other items that, like we were saying earlier, it's so important to get him in team fights. I really do think that like drums, the Vlads, if it's situationally good for your team, and the mech, just good items to have because you're going to try and be around a lot of people. That's where Rubick really excels in being with other people. So getting those kind of items, I think, are really, really good.
Yeah, maybe. If you think that way.
If you like doing things and helping people, I mean, I don't know why you would, but
yeah. So I got the pleasure of playing him as support most recently.
Pleasure.
It was a pleasure. It was such a pleasure, let me tell you. If this is what the definition of pleasure was, I would think I would never go back. Basically, I got to support a Slardar. I'm not going to name any of our friends we played with because that's just not fair to them. The game just went sour for everyone. I'm not going to try to call anyone out. But, we were against a Sand King. A solo Sand King. So I was thinking it wouldn't be such a challenge. And in the beginning it wasn't. I mean, we were doing a good job keeping him out of the lane, whatnot. Denying creeps, trying to keep control of the map. They did ward the jungle, so I was having a little trouble there. But besides that, I mean, it wasn't a big deal. And I think you were jungling that game, weren't you? Were you?
I don't remember.
You were Nature's Prophet, I believe. And you were jungling.
And I was jungling.
So I believe you were jungling Nature's Prophet. We were tri-laning Nature's Prophet, Rubick, and Slardar, just...
Of course.
We got the Sprout, although we had to be careful because I could destroy your trees with telekinesis.
There you
didn't
go.
Want to do
why
that.
Why did we put them together?
Oh, this is just beautiful combination there. But we just struggled, and I was just truly realizing how much I missed having the items that I normally have from solo. I didn't have the mana regen, and it took me about 16 minutes to get arcane boots. Just to get arcane boots. I was devastated. I'm like, my mana pool's so low, I get 3 casts off, and I'm almost out of mana. This is terrible. And it just was so unfortunate. And eventually I got a Yule's, I think, and that was my big item that I had all game. But still, I had no survivability. I had maybe 1,000 hits in the late game, and against a couple of nukers or high damage dealers, that's not going to do nearly enough to keep you out of harm's way. So, I don't think I like him nearly as much in support as I do in the solo role.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that situation, the Ring of Basilius is probably going to be an item you definitely want to get because, again, if you're going to be around a lot of people, it's not a huge aura, but it's 2 armor, and the mana regeneration is so nice to have. And that's also probably one of those situations where I would probably not be leveling the Fade Bolt as much.
Really?
I would probably wind up putting more points in telekinesis in that situation, just because between you and Slardar being able to do a lot of damage to the solo hero. Although, Fade Bolt does do a lot of single target damage. Now I'm thinking about it, I don't know.
It really does.
Decisions.
I still think Fade Bolt's his best move to level up at all times.
Yeah.
Except for his ultimate, obviously. But, I don't know. I can see what you're trying to argue there, but especially against the solo, like the stun duration, throw that out the window. He's not stunning anyone else. So it's really just the lift up time. And, 0.25 more seconds. 0.25 seconds.
Oh, yeah, I'm stupid. Don't listen to me.
I don't. Don't worry. I was explaining it, though, for everyone who might be thinking in a similar way. And that's the way you kind of have to break things down. Like, is that quarter a second better than 75 damage and lower cooldown? Probably not. Probably
so
not.
I'm a liar and a fraud. Fade Bolt.
No, you just like to incite thinking.
I do. I like to just create.
You're a professor of sorts.
Oh, yeah. I profess wherever I go. Just so much professing. But, I think, in that situation, Ring of Basilius, Urn of Shadows, items that would help you try and overcome that low mana pool. And then even if you did go the drums, they give you some mint. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to go those big items, I mean, it's definitely going to be hard. And yeah, like you said, obviously, Arcane Boot's a fantastic item to have on them, but because that 1,000 is so hard to get, yeah.
It really is. It's so noticeably hard, especially when, because like you said, you were a jungler. So I was really like the only support, I'm using quotations over here, on the team because, we had a solo mid, solo bottom, and then the farmer top. So I was pretty much stuck with getting all the wards and counter wards if that was the case. And I did get a decent amount of wards, but not a ton. But still, I was trying to spend all my money on that, and as well as counter warding if they were warding our jungle. And just how much money you can spend on that is so easy. And, when you're trying to focus more on surviving. I think the other problem in this game, though, I tried going Soul Ring. And it was an interesting choice because I was thinking, I'm like, well, health mana regen, that's cool. And if I need to cast another Telekinesis or Fade Bolt, I can just pop it and have enough mana for it. So on paper, it looked like a decent choice. But I didn't actually come across a lot of times when it was really, really useful to have instead of spending that 700 gold or whatever towards another item, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an interesting decision. I could totally see it being viable. But yeah, I mean, especially because, like I said earlier, I've been playing Tinker a lot more, and I've been trying to get the Soul Ring a lot on him. It's really knowing when you can really spare that health to get that mana and kind of stuff. So that's probably something I think you could make work with more practice, But yeah, I think it's those, when you're playing that support role, it's going to be those cheap items that are really going to have to try and get you through, like the Basilius, the Urn, and even, the Soul Ring, I think, as well.
Indeed. That's the cool thing is, though, as a support, spell steal will scale the same as if you were a carry. So I mean, like, his abilities aren't going to be any different. You know what I mean? Like, he's not based on auto attacks. It's all about the spells for him. So even as support, as long as you have that ultimate and you can be in a good position to steal, I think you still can be really effective. And that's why I think we've seen him in the pro scene as support every now and then. And I've heard, I think it was on Toby stream I was hearing that on the China scene, or the Asian scene, excuse me, he's mostly played actually as a support rather than like a solo mid, and then it's the opposite for the European scene, where they'd rather run him as a solo, which is interesting, because those are very different ways to approach the hero.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. I mean, it's nice that he is so versatile, and he has a sort of balanced strength where it's not like, you can run Nature's Prophet solo middle, but he's so good at jungling, why wouldn't you just run him in the jungle kind of thing? He really is kind of a balanced blade. He can do both of those jobs very well. And I gotta say, I'm a little jealous because people have got to ask you questions through Twitter this whole time, and I haven't gotten to ask my question, my thinker. Think tank.
Hold on, let me put the cap on, because...
Okay, get it situated.
I'm gonna pull it from the side here.
Adjust the... my fork's a little off. Gotta adjust the spoon on this side.
I think I outgrew this. My head grew so big from last casting that I just...
Oh. Alright. Here you go. Here it is.
Yes.
Get prepared.
Prepared.
The nice thing about the way Dota 2 is now is before, like back in International 1, right, there were so few heroes, standard bans across the board. You pretty much knew exactly who they were going to be. Last week we got to see Chaos Knight, who has been getting banned. He's made it into a couple games, but by and large getting banned.
Yep.
Now, what?
I said yep.
Oh,
That's all
yeah,
I said.
yeah,
A 3-letter word
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And now we have Rubick, who, like I was mentioning earlier, in the Southeast Asian scene especially, getting the ban stick, not letting in the game. So now we have 2 new heroes in the last 2 weeks that we want to ban. So here's what I'm wondering, Team Captain J4Y. Who are your first big 3? There's so many choices now. Who are you trying to take out of the game?
Am I playing against Dendi? No.
Invoker, Pudge, and
Right? All 60-something heroes. No. Okay, my 3 scariest heroes, pretty much, is how we're going to guess or the ones that I just really am not a fan of.
Your first 3 bans. Who are the first 3 that you would be like, nope, nope, nope?
First and foremost, I hate Darkseer.
Yeah, I'm on board with that one.
So I will ban him till the day he is nerfed into the ground, which might not
Would you like to elaborate why?
It's just the way his kit is designed. So basically, I think I talked about in our love-hate episode, I think it was 13, how I just despised Darkseer as a hero. I absolutely despised him, and it was because of the way he was created. The fact that, he's so difficult to kill with Surge. I mean, just any of his allies or himself, he can go for over like 5 seconds at pretty much max move speed, right? So how are you? It's so hard to gank him or keep him down, or an ally down even if he casts on them. Surge, annoying move. Vacuum. Let's set up all the AoE moves in the world in one cast, and it's an enormous radius. So just pain on pain on pain, and it does damage. Why not? On top of that, and then of course the Iron Shell, being one of the best farming moves in the game that you can cast on a creep or an enemy hero or yourself on anything except a tower, pretty much, and it just annihilates the whole lane just so easily because of its high damage per second. So really useful there. And then the stupid ultimate. The stupid ultimate.
We here at Dota On Demand are very neutral about all heroes and abilities.
Except for J4Y. But yeah, I mean, it's so powerful. The thing is, if you can position it right, especially with the vacuum on top of it, you can just create so much Khem and Khem. That was the best word I've
so
thought
much
of today.
Khem you can't even say words properly.
You run to a state of Mayhas.
Yes.
Mayhem or Chaos, whichever you prefer, or KM or Mayos. So basically, it's both. I think originally I was saying it was more of like a super defensive move, but even offensive, it can be really useful. It can be either way of the spectrum. Depending where. If, like I said, it's all about the positioning of this really big wall. I think it's like a 1,300, 1,400 length. It's super long. And if you put it in a certain, let's say you're pushing into the base and you put it up the hill around the tower where they'd have to stand to defend it, they're going to be kind of scared to walk through because they don't want to create these illusions that not only give your team sight because there'll be his copies up there, but they'll be attacking for a good amount of damage, especially if he gets the scepter, which most do. Then that they do even more damage while they're up. And it's a super long duration. It's like 25-30 seconds. So you just have to be scared of this wall for like half a minute. Just all around not fun to play against, in my opinion.
I think the perhaps more concise answer, as this is a 3-part question I asked you, I'd say it's just one of those heroes that you just break your teeth on. Like trying to get into the base. There was a game MTW played. They had a 15,000 gold advantage and just kept crashing against the Darkseer wall, trying to get into the base. And he was just a big part of that defense. He's probably one of the best defensive heroes. And that respect, that's why I ban him too. What's your number 2?
Lycan still.
Okay.
Still
Push,
Lycan.
carry. Yeah.
Push, carry makes sense. He doesn't have a lot to him, so I mean that's just, I think, pretty obvious. Now my third one's kind of different. It's between 2 other heroes. It's going to be between Enigma, depending on how I want to build my team, and Enchantress, I think. Those would be my 2 hates. Now, the thing is with the 2 new heroes, I just haven't seen them enough in competitive level, so I don't know really what they're capable of yet. Chaos Knight I have a taste for. I feel like he could be something that's going to need to be banned, depending on how people farm and build with him. Because I've played him in pubs, and you can stomp pubs so easily. You just get that armlet, and you start going from there, and it's so hard to kill him. And he does insanes. what is wrong with grammar in the world today? Insane amount of mayhem damage that is just,
Yeah.
Bayhouse damage or whatever. Yeah, but Rubick, I do not really see banned, except for the reasons you listed. Maybe if they're trying to build this perfect team they have in mind, it's like, he's going to mess everything up. Okay, I'll see him banned, but he wouldn't be on my list.
Yeah. No, I agree. Good job, ban picker.
And you?
You've
Are
won
they
the
similar?
game. Darkseer like, and I definitely like. And actually, those are pretty much the two standard bans coming out from MTW too. Just about every game I've seen them play recently, it's Lycan and Darkseer. And I think it wasn't Darkseer until that game they had, I think, where they had that crazy huge advantage and then just fell apart in late. And I think ever since that game, I saw him there. I mean, I don't think I'd ban him in the first round, but I really don't like playing against Brewmaster. I think he's really strong in the right hands. But yeah, I guess it'd probably just depend on what I was really running after that. I also dislike the Morphling. He's awfully strong.
He is strong. I mean, I think he is too, but I don't think he's ban worthy just because I feel like he can be countered out by CC so easily. Like he has a really low range attack. It's like 350 or something, so he has to be pretty much right in the front line. He is really tanky, which is nice, and the replicate makes that double the effect. And usually people go shotgun, so he's more of a burst carry, if you will. But he also does the sustained damage. So, all in all, he is a very effective hero. But I think if you get like a nice Beastmaster Roar followed by some other damage moves, he's pretty much gonna drop, depending on how everything goes. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's ban worthy. Oh, Eurocopter, of course, number one ban. I don't even, how did I forget him? Is the question.
Yeah. I mean,
homing rockets.
Ban 1, 2, and 3, just to be sure.
I really don't want you guys to have this hero, so just all 3, please. Yeah, I think we're pretty much in agreement then for the most part. It's still it's pretty much what you see in the competitive scene, so it's a little boring. But I mean, there's a reason they banned those heroes off the competitive scene. They're just really strong. I do kind of hate Phantom Assassin. I hate him. Much. Just because of how random he is. I might. I'd think about it.
Not let me ban.
You said I'm Team Captain J4Y, so I mean, you don't get a say. It's not
rescinding
the title. Not democracy. This is a dictatorship, and I'm going all out, baby. Fire the missiles.
Apparently. We'll ban Ogre Magi because he's awfully random as well.
Who would you first pick?
Who would I first pick? I see that would depend on what kind of team I was running.
For your favorite team in the whole
Beastmaster.
World. Okay.
I would totally pick a Beastmaster. I mean, at least, I don't know. Yeah, it would depend. It would depend who I was playing with too, because
we're not wearing diapers here. You tell me. Beastmaster. I think you can stick with that.
Beastmaster's a good one. I feel, but you don't have to first pick him.
I'm not saying you have to play the hero.
Too well. No, I know. But I'm just saying, because the first pick, too, what you're also going to want to try and do is pick any hero that the other team might also pick up early. So a Windrider might actually be like the better first pick. Or Enigma, if I thought that was going to be, key to my plotting. But I really do like Beastmaster. He's definitely, I still think, a little underappreciated, even though he did go through recently a little bit of a popularity streak.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, he's really amazing at locking down heroes or initiating fights. Oh, and that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. I'm glad you talked about Beastmaster. Because
Me too.
Recently, he has been people have been building Agamot's Scepter on him, which has really not happened up till recently.
So good.
It's amazing. And I'm like, as BDLM survives his fit of death over there,
did
the Black Plague just strike you all of a sudden?
Apparently. Just completely caught off guard there.
Oh my gosh.
I really do like it. Decrease cooldown, increase the range. Both the things. I mean, 45-second cooldown with the Augment Scepter. Fantastic. I really do like it. I think it's a great pickup on him too. I mean, I guess it depends, what you're trying to do, because I think there are a ton of viable builds. We're talking about Rubick as a hero who can sort of fill multiple roles really well. Beastmaster, you can almost just blind pick items from the shop, and you're probably going to be straight with picking up whatever you do, because so many different builds work on him. It's really, I think, pretty amazing how many different items you can fit together and make work. But, yeah, I mean, just a really
I'm just, like I said, I'm surprised it's taken this long to really become built. I mean, like, obviously things are more situational than others. Like, sometimes you'd see them go necro just for vision if they want to counter ward or they want to do this or that, or push heavy. You know, it's really good for pushing. You know, some even go, I don't know, BKB, some weird items here and there. But there was never really that obvious choice, like some heroes just always go A, B, or C. He kind of could sift around a bit, depending, you know, maybe apart from Soul Ring, which is a pretty common thing to see on him. I'm talking about, like, big items. You won't really have that, you know what I mean, like a general thing. But now, I could totally see Gun Scepter being a reliable thing for him to build in most cases. Just because, like you said, lower cooldown, better for team fighting. You know, farther range, much better for initiating. You know, it's a really good, it's like 150, 200 range extra. That's a big difference. And then on top of that, the stats it provides. You know, he gets more health, more mana.
350 range increase.
Oh, wow. So it's even double what I pretty much said. So there you go. I mean, just goes to show how really nice it would be to have. And like I said, the stats on top of that. He benefits from all those stats more or less. The agility, not as much. But, you know, it's good to go.
All in all. Yeah. No, I think, good pickup. I think we're good, man.
On Beastmaster for sure. I did have a random question.
Okay, great.
That you have to answer.
All right.
Honestly, no trolling.
Truth or dare? Okay. Truth.
Not quite. Truth. Have you made out with Lich? That's a weird question. Don't answer
yes,
that one.
twice.
No, don't answer that one.
Crap.
We're gonna ignore that last one.
3 times.
If Dota 2 was an animal, which one would it be? No, you have to answer it. This is part of the rules. We don't make them here. I'm just following from the executive, so he's telling me what to plug in here. By the way, if you have a time to snack on a bag of Cheetos,
as we bring out our can of Coke,
the whole animal kingdom in the world. I'll even let you go sci-fi. I don't care. If you want to think of an animal, what would it be and why? I already have 3 answers, and I just thought of it myself.
That's terrible. Why would you... Why...
I'll give you some help here. This viewer, stop talking please, which is a great name as a viewer, especially for me to read aloud, said Dota 2 should be a walrus. Which makes a lot of sense, because we did tell people how we were going to shave the backs of walruses, you know, so...
That's true.
Maybe he's trying to plug it into, like, well, how do you shave the back of the Dota 2 community? Well, I mean, you know, you got to please everyone and just... You get them to purr, and that's when everyone's really at their finest, when they purr like a walrus.
Yes.
That made no sense at all. I was just hoping you would have thought of an animal by now, which shouldn't be hard.
It would be a tiger.
Yes.
Because it is cute and cuddly, and I love it.
But get too close.
To own one takes finesse and deep knowledge. And Dota 2 is orange. Ish.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Red orange. Close enough. It's close enough.
Well, Tony the Tiger is kind of red, so I'll give you that.
All right. Yeah. There you go. Perfect answer. You're welcome.
You know the more perfect answer?
Pufferfish. Hedgehog.
He would be... Dota 2 would be a giraffe.
Explain.
Do I even need to explain?
No, but just for those who aren't following along.
Just for those who don't understand that, obviously. Bonk says it's a head crab. So...
It's a head...
Oh, is that from, I think it's from that one sci-fi game. Oh, is that from, Oh, boy.
Oh, from, yeah. Okay.
The
from,
game with the ship.
The other Valve game. Half-Life.
There we go. The game with the ship.
Half-Life
2.
It takes control of your body, and you lose all free will, and you must play.
That is actually pretty good.
I like that.
Almost as good as Giraffe. I mean, almost as good, honestly.
It's pretty close.
That Giraffe are like neck and neck. Tiger, okay, it's all the way down here, but like Giraffe and Head Crab, I think it's... I
found on the Half-Life 2 forums a picture of a crab that looks suspiciously like a head crab. Has me a little worried.
I was going to say, just saying that makes me feel a little dirty, just saying head crab.
Yeah, the mind wanders.
It's dangerously close to other crabs that could not be as pleasant.
Crab people, of course.
Yeah, I'm talking about, of course, what other crabs are out there out in the world. I wouldn't know. Okay, well, at least you had a bad answer, but I thought, respectively,
Tiger.
it should... Tiger? Really? Alright, so do you really think PA will not get picked up, or Gyrocopter? Do you think there's strategies or team comps that could fit them in?
Nope. Gyro, yes, but not PA. I don't like
Gyro
PA.
because he's like a ganker kind of hero?
You could make it work. Yeah, with potentially global presence. I mean, I definitely think there are things you could do to make him work. PA, they're just better picks. Just plain and simple. I would much rather have an anti-mage than a PA. Not as bursty, but dependable. Still gets the same mobility. I mean, you could even say that the ultimate is sort of the burst damage that you'd be losing from the potential randomness of the PA, but I think what really makes PA strong is the fact that people really can't get away from her because of the Stifling Dagger, but...
I think because Bonk is tuning in, that means he wants to be on the nenext episode. I think he's secretly pining to be back on, but he won't tell us up front.
You heard it here, folks. Next Tuesday, Bonk on the episode.
Discussing his exploits as only playing support for us for the next week. He's going to share all his secrets of how he's mastered the support role every single game.
Yes, I like it. Alrighty. Well,
I guess we can wrap this up.
Now that we've whet everyone's palate for Bonk next week, which is totally...
He just said, I volunteered myself for that totally. That's exactly what he said.
There you go.
So, 100%.
There you go. Well, then, yeah, everybody, I think that's it. Yeah, you're good? You don't have any, what kind of candy would Dota 2 be? You're out, right?
Oh, hold on, I have to apologize. Apparently we offended the other person in the chat. He plays support.
I play
so
support,
does BDLM.
So
it's just tough love. We just,
We're not hating on the sport. But, whatever.
Yeah, no, don't worry. The candy question actually was for next week, but you kind of threw that off, so now I can't even use that. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, keep tuning in at YouTube and all that stuff, guys. Keep us going. Let us know. Comment on things, please. Let us know if you appreciate the way we're doing these. If there's something else you'd rather us go on about. If, all these different things. If you don't want him to have coughing fits of death. Just things like that.
Those happen.
That's very random.
Also, check out Dota Talk. Fantastic website. And like I said, you can go back to that replay parser. If you got your Frozen Throne installed, which why wouldn't you? You can go back and watch some of those games. Awesome to do. So join us here next week, guys, for episode number 33, hopefully with Bonk. We will see you all then.